Hey guys, on the year we're gonna be checking out a breakdown of the post-credit scenes for Eternals. If you haven't seen the movie, spoilers. What can I say? Title of the video. So we're gonna be checking this out. There's a particular moment in the second post-credit scene that I really would love to have explained. I have an idea on who I think this disembodied voice was. I know there's a bunch of different ideas floating around. It goes by so quick, and there's no crediting in, obviously, the credits or anything, because it's the end of the credits is post-credits, so there's no credits for it. So I want to know who it is, and this video claims to have the answer. So we're gonna be checking that out. Again, visiting our friends over in New Rockstars. If you're not following the channel, go check them out, give them a look, and subscribe, because they make some great breakdowns, man. That's all I gotta say. So let's go ahead and check this out and see what Eric has to say.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and Marvel's Eternals post-credit scenes leave viewers with new highs and wait, what? That we haven't felt in years. The kind of twists that can only be truly appreciated by watching this movie in a theater. So before I explain what happened and the implications, spoiler warning, go watch the movie first, trust me. Again, another spoiler warning, double wrapping this one. Okay, top headline first, yes, Harry Styles is now in the MCU playing Thanos' brother, Eros, aka Star Fox. The implications of his arrival are the real scoops here, and it's a less obvious cameo in the second post-credit scene that really blew this mind, and is sweeter than the sweetest watermelon sugar. So let's break it down. And another spoiler warning for the final act of Eternals. Okay, so Eternals ends with Cersei stopping the emergence of the sleeping celestial Tiamat, hatching out of our Earth and killing us all by boosting her transfiguration abilities with the Unimind to transform Tiamat into marble stone. Icarus completes his mythological destiny and flies into the sun. Dina, Druig, and Makari depart Earth to look for other Eternals. Cersei turns Sprite into a human and decides to stay on Earth along with Kingo and Phastos. But then in the final scene, Arishem returns and zips Cersei, Phastos, and Kingo up into space and says, "You have chosen to sacrifice a celestial for the people of this planet. I will spare them, but your memories will determine if they are worthy to live, and I will return in judgment." And then they all disappear into a black hole, leaving Dane Whitman back on Earth alone. Now the first post-credit scene picks up with the three in the Domo, who worry about their lost contact with their friends back on Earth, but then a little light glimmers in the corridor, and through this portal tumbles Pip the Troll, voiced by Patton Oswalt. He announces, "Behold the royal prince of Titan, brother of Thanos, defeater of Black Robert." And then the guy goes, "Roger." He goes, "Oh right, defender of Black Roger, the great adventurer Star Fox." And then Harry freaking Styles enters as
And then
Eros,
Fox
aka
McCloud
Star Fox,
comes
and
out.
says, "What a pleasure to make your acquaintance, my fellow Eternals. You know, you really don't have to do the whole thing every time. I am Eros, this is Pip, and you are as beautiful as legend says, Thena. Your friends are in big trouble, and we know where to find them." And he reveals he has his own golden sphere to communicate with the Celestials, and he flashes a horny smile. Cue foreigners, feels like the first time. So Eros, aka Star Fox, and Pip were both creations of Jim Starlin, the guy who created Thanos. In Greek mythology, Eros is the god of love and sex. And in the Marvel Comics, he can control the emotions of others. He's kind of a creeper, a total horn dog, which makes casting the super likable Harry Styles in this role just really works. Now, we should say at one point Eros was put on trial for
Yeah, I was
sexual
actually
assault
about to
by
mention
She-Hulk.
that.
Don't count on that being in the MCU though. Really, the guy is an Eternal of the planet Titan and brother to the Mad Titan Thanos, the second son of Alars. And if the MCU sticks to the genealogy from the comics, Alars was a brother to Zuras, Athena's father, making her and Eros first cousins. So maybe throttle back there, Eros. This is a family reunion. Now, Pip the Troll is best known as Eros's companion in their hedonistic lifestyle. I guess you'd kind of say like the Rocket to his Star-Lord, but not exactly. Originally, Pip was a foil to Adam Warlock, who is also coming into the MCU soon. He was a species called a Laxidasian. He was actually a prince who mutates into this satyr-like troll, who ends up playing a pretty big role in the Infinity Gauntlet storyline alongside Adam Warlock. By the way, Black Roger was a nemesis to Eros, a big goofball who attacked when Eros, his girlfriend Heater Delight, turned Roger down, and then Eros with Howlin' Wolf, yes, the famous blues singer, who in the comics Eros rescued from his deathbed and gave him wolf transformation powers. These guys all defeated Roger. Yeah, it's supposed to be crazy.
What
It was
the
the
hell?
70s. Just deal with it. So Eros Eros having this celestial beacon is just one example of Eternals from other planets in the MCU free from celestial control, and this might tell us that Thanos was acting either in accordance or in defiance to their celestial overlords. Actually, in this film, Ajax says Thanos delayed the emergence on Earth, so maybe Thanos' plan to reduce all of life in the universe by half was actually his attempt to stop or delay celestial seeds from hatching and disrupt the celestial reproduction cycle. Thanos did nothing wrong. It's also interesting how Eros doesn't seem to fear whatever celestial he is in touch with. So there may be other celestials out there who oppose Arishem and may give Eros a chance to appeal to an even higher power in order to free Cersei, Kingo, and Phastos. So where did Arishem take them? Well, it sounded like he planned to assess their legal right to claim Earth's worthiness based on their memories as kind of like a legal transcript. So yes, he could be taking them first to the World Forge that he showed Cersei in the vision where Eternal's memories of past lives are stored. But since he doesn't just, destroy them here, Arishem may be bound by cosmic laws that are set by a higher authority. So I believe he could be taking them to the Court of the Living Tribunal, Marvel's ultimate judge, a character who was just teased in the penultimate episode of Loki. So wherever we see these characters next, maybe Thor Love and Thunder, maybe Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I suspect that we may be in store for a celestial trial before the Living Tribunal with Cersei as a defendant and Eros and Pip as surprise witnesses with their own celestial representative arguing on Cersei's behalf. You thought these things were weird? I think it's about to get a lot weirder. Now the second post-credit scene centers around Dane Whitman, who gets sidelined for most of the film, aside from Cersei giving him a ring from the Middle Ages that bears his family crest, the Raven emblem of the Black Knight, Sprite and Thena talking about the Ebony Blade and Excalibur, and references to Dane making peace with an uncle and that his family history is quote complicated. In the Marvel Comics, Dane Whitman is one of the heroes to carry the title of the Black Knight, a warrior with ancestral roots to Sir Percy of Scandia, a contemporary of King Arthur, and he's known for carrying the badass sword of the Ebony Blade. But now in this scene, he opens a box marked with the Raven emblem from his ring, and on the inner lid is carved the Latin phrase Mors mihi lucrum, which Dane reads aloud, and it translates to "Death is my reward." And then Dane works himself up to open this box, and inside is the Ebony Blade, which as he touches it has an organic weave that reaches out to greet his finger. So this isn't really just a sword, it's like a living weapon in the vein of Excalibur, or maybe the sword carried by Gore the God Butcher, Christian Bale's character in the upcoming Thor 4, Thor Love and Thunder, which in the comics was the same weapon that beheaded the Celestial Nowhere. Perhaps in the MCU, the Ebony Blade has the same kind of lethality to Celestials, giving Cersei even more hope for being rescued. But then, my favorite part of this, we hear this voice behind Dane. Are you sure you're ready for that, Mr. Whitman? Now, my first thought was that this was Jeffrey Wright, the voice of Uatu the Watcher in What If, who does love to suddenly drop in on heroes as a voice from nowhere, just like this, to recruit them for like multiversal missions, and I think the Black Knight would make a pretty good candidate for Battleworld in Avengers 5 Secret Wars, but listening to it more closely, I realized this is totally the voice of Mahershala Ali, confirmed as Blade in the MCU back at Comic-Con 2019.
Yeah, it didn't sound like Fury or Wright to me, which is the two I heard the most.
From Chloe Zhao and from Kit Harington, confirming that it is indeed Mahershala Ali Blade in this scene. So Blade and Dane Whitman were both on a team called MI13, a British agency set up to deal with paranormal threats. On this team, Whitman realized that he was actually wielding a fake Ebony Blade that was forged by Dracula, Blade's nemesis. And Whitman's time on MI13 is actually set during Secret Invasion. He uses this weapon to slaughter Skrulls and Super Skrulls. Now, vampires were teased earlier in Eternals by Kingo.
Actually, when we first met, he thought I was a vampire.
And in Loki.
Stake me through the heart.
We should also point out that it looked like Skrulls came up during Arishem's revelation of all the truths to Cersei. But a bit of background on Blade. Blade was born to a mother who was bitten by a vampire mid-delivery, making him born half human and half vampire, giving him vampiric qualities, and he begins vampire hunting foes like Dracula, Deacon Frost, and then gets bitten by our buddy Morbius. Big week for him. A bite that gave Blade all the classic strengths of vampires, but none of the weaknesses, and he goes by the alias of Daywalker. So now it seems like Dane's next appearance in the MCU could be in the Blade film. No release date announced yet, but potentially November 2023, or maybe even sooner, like in Secret Invasion on Disney+. And it could be the reason the character Blade doesn't think Dane is ready for this sword. It could be that it's not actually his family's sword, the mythic Ebony Blade, but an imposter placed there by a vampire. Thus the meaning of that Latin phrase, "Death is my reward," fitting for an immortal bloodsucker long hunted by the church since the Middle Ages. Now, like Dane, I was hoping for a weapon more useful in slaying a celestial celestial, as that organic texture on the weapon reminded me a lot of All Black the Necro Sword, but it may just be that Marvel is sticking to merely one direction in saving Cersei.
Lol.
I'm sorry. And back on Earth, teaming up two black blades to slice up some vampires or Skrulls, whatever death is more rewarding, apparently.
Interesting. Yeah, I was like, my initial thought was, it didn't sound like Fury, because I heard a couple people saying that that's who they swore it was. I didn't hear Fury, and like I could kind of hear Jeffrey Wright, but Mahershala Ali wasn't somebody that came to mind immediately. But now thinking about it, I don't know, man. I just need to hear it for myself again. Give it another watch. But I could totally roll with that. I mean, if it's Blade, sure, let's do it. Two sword-related heroes facing off against the supernatural, I'd be down for it. It just like feels like it's a weird transition from this celestial cosmic scale thing to vampires or Skrulls. I mean, Skrulls would be a little more cosmic, but not quite like what Dane just witnessed. Because like I said, I think I wasn't sure who I heard it because it comes and goes so fast because you're not really like expecting it when he's like looking at the sword. And my initial thought was that Jeffrey Wright? Because it didn't sound like what was in my head from having watched all of What If and all that stuff. So that was immediately where my brain leapt. So I don't know. I haven't heard Mahershala Ali's voice in a hot minute, so I can't say for certain. Okay, so I had to do this. So I stepped away for a minute to pull up some interviews of Mahershala Ali, and I can totally hear it now. Though, again, I don't think I'm confident enough to go with it 100%, because I feel like I need to hear it again in the moment, expecting it coming, so that I could really kind of like believe it myself. But I can definitely hear the similarities in their vocals. So they might be onto something here. But I mean, Eric Voss seems to be fairly confident that it's Mahershala Ali, along with evidence from conversations between Chloe Zhao and Kit Harington to back it up. So what do you guys think? Sound of the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. We'll carry on the conversation after the video. Hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to join our Discord. We can talk about it further there. Before we go, I want to shout out our channel legends: Manny Sherritt, Ryan Karen, Jason Coleman, Philly Vane, Yori Kurskov, Margaret Grace, Mary Bradley, and Jeffrey Hale. Thank you guys so much for your support. Remember to go check out new rock stars and give them a nice little like and sub. But that's it for today, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.